Child, the gag I gugged. Like, why did my laptop start acting up as soon as I logged in to talk to y'all? But anyway, I'm just gonna let this countdown play just so that y'all can rejoin if you want to rejoin or if you want to watch it later. Up to you. But I'll be right back. Hey y'all, it's Dr. Shonda, and you're listening to Paging Dr. Shonda. Listen, I am your host, Dr. Shonda, licensed clinical psychologist by day, culture critic by night, and I'm excited to be here with y'all yet again. Despite the little technical difficulties that we experienced at the beginning of the previous video, so I promise y'all this is the this is the version that you want to listen to, because we're gonna hop right into it. We're gonna log out because it's late and beloved has to work in the morning. But again, welcome to the show. Welcome and thank you so much for tuning in. Y'all know this is a show where we facilitate conversations in order to help you to experience a whole life, a meaningful whole life, whether that is physically, emotionally, psychologically, what have you. Simply because that's my goal. Like, I love to help people to heal. I love to help people to walk in wholeness. But today, some of you have been asking me in terms of like, where do I stand regarding everything that's happening with Revolt? If you've been following me for any length of time, then you know that in April, I was signed to the Revolt Podcast Network. So we're going to be addressing that. Before we hop into that, though, let's do a few housekeeping things. So again, welcome, and make sure that you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. Subscribing is a free way that you can support the channel. You can also like the video, so that again helps with our analytics. So make sure that you like, make sure that you subscribe. In addition to that, if you are a fan of my content, whether it's on Instagram, TikTok, which is where I mainly am, in addition to podcast stuff, mental health stuff, like things that you want to, if you want to elevate your mental health and you want more of my content, you can go ahead and join the Patreon. So the Patreon, you'll be able to have access to behind the scenes footage related to my interviews that I do and facilitate with people. You'll also have access to additional mental health content. I get a lot of DMs and questions from students who aspire to be a psychologist and want to figure out like, okay, how do I become a psychologist? So I figured I'll start hosting monthly meetings on that platform as well. So I actually decided to do like a $3 sign up for Black Friday and Cyber Monday or whatever, just to kind of like, take us through the weekend of like signing up for Patreon. So you guys can sign up for the low price of $3 a month right now. And I don't know how long that's going to last, but if you do sign up, you will have access to my next interview. Are y'all excited to see who I have next week, December the 6th? Because y'all, let me just tell y'all, like, okay, I was literally rattling my brain trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to launch this episode? What is my marketing plan? How am I going to like make sure that I have enough momentum, right? Because it's a big interview. I want to be able to have enough momentum behind in order to make sure that I am, getting the right traction, doing what I need to do to allow as many people as I know to see the interview, especially with everything that's going on with, the network or whatever. I just wasn't sure. And then I hop on Instagram at around 7 o'clock and I'm like, oh crap. Like, Amarion just posted our challenge that we did. So let me just show y'all, because I was gagging. I gagged, the gag I gugged when I saw it. So real quick, just gonna pull this up. And I hope it doesn't slow my laptop down, because y'all know I've been having trouble with my laptop. Child. Feel serious, and it's getting serious. There we go. This is more than I want you in tonight. It's more like I want you in for life. Make it clear. This feels serious, serious. All right, so we're gonna mute the music because I don't want my video to be taken down. But yeah, so I was in the studio with Amarion, I want to say 2 weeks ago, and facilitated a really dope interview. He's a great person just to kind of converse with, because he's very aware of like emotions, and we talked about his book, The Art of Choosing Joy, and how to choose joy when when you can choose so many other emotions, when you could choose anger, when you could choose all these impactful negative emotions, you can choose joy. And so we kind of like had a good conversation about that. And at the end of the interview, there was like, oh, did you hear about the serious challenge? I'm like, no, what's that? So he teaches me the serious challenge. They record it and he posted it. So I thought that was a really dope way to introduce that. Marion will be joining us next week for the show on December the 6th. So make sure that you guys set a reminder for that. Make sure that you are tuned in and share it with as many people as possible. And again, if you want early access, if you want the behind the scenes footage, if you want the full extended version, you have to join the Patreon in order to get that. And the link is in the show notes. But yeah, y'all. And so let me just toot my own horn a little bit, just a little toot. Y'all know, so yes, I'm in a distribution deal with the network with Revolt Podcast. But I still own 100% of my podcast. I still do a lot of the heavy lifting. So all of the like booking the talent, booking the studio, producing, like all of that has been me. So like I'm really proud of myself for allowing that to come together, because my friends know how I was stressing the night before, because I had to move the studio location and figure out, because we were in New York, so I had to find a different studio, figure that out. So it was a lot, but I'm so happy that it came together. And yeah, y'all are going to be in for a treat once you hop into that interview. And again, that's going live on December the 6th. All right, y'all. So, like I said before in the previous video, before the devil started getting into my internet or my laptop or whatever, I was talking about this episode and how I wanted to go live today on YouTube, but the audio version will, of course, be available on the podcast, so you can listen to this tomorrow when you guys normally listen to the pod. But today is going to be just simply hot off the press. And if you've been following my podcast for any length of time, hot off the press is basically a segment where I talk about topics in the news. So like things that happen in pop culture, things that might happen, again, like things, posts that you might see in the shade room, right? Things that have like, it has a cultural buzz to it. Like we're talking about it, therefore it has to be addressed on the podcast. And so today we're going to be talking about two very important things. One being the everything that's going on with Diddy at Revolt, and another being what happened with King. Paul, thank you so much for your comment. Paul said that's good. I appreciate you. So we are going to hop into it. So, like I said, in April, I was signed to Revolt Podcast Network, and I must say, ever since I was signed on to the network, everybody has been very pleasant. I met the CEO, Detavio, who's really dope. Aki, who's the head of programming for podcasts, he's dope. Devin, who's the coordinator for podcasting, he's dope. Like we've just had like a really positive experience with Revolt. And so the things that have transpired over the past 2 weeks, it's been kind of like having a heavy cloud over our heads. Or I can't speak for everybody, but I'll say for me particularly, right? Because this was something that I found out, or we talent found out in the media, just like everybody else. And B, like there wasn't really much, much of anything that we knew, right? And so like because of that, again, like it was like a dark cloud looming over our heads, trying to figure this out. And I just wanted to kind of like review that for a second before I hop into answering some of the questions that I got in comments and DMs and things of that nature. So I'm going to share my screen just to kind of go over another article. So Rolling Stone, y'all, this laptop situation, go ahead and stretch your hand toward my laptop, but it's cool because I'll be in the studio now. We back in the studio. We're going to try and get that consistent and regular. All right, so Rolling Stone posted an article and says Sean Diddy Combs steps down from Revolt TV amid sexual assault suit. So it's no secret by now that we know that Diddy has been having like a myriad of allegations following him for the past few weeks in the public, like in the news, where it was actually lawsuits or what have you. So it says Sean Diddy Combs has temporarily stepped down as a chairman of Revolt, the TV network he co-founded amidst a wave of sexual allegations. Rolling Stone has confirmed no further details about the decision were given, such as who would take up Combs' role in the interim and when he might return. And so I'm just going to review the official report from Revolt. So Revolt actually made a statement, and they put out again that Diddy has decided to temporarily step down. And give me 1 second, y'all. Y'all probably like, girl, if you don't hurry up. It's cool. Y'all haven't heard my voice in a week, so it's fine. Yeah, so Diddy steps down as a chairperson of Revolt. Sean Combs has stepped down from his position as a chairman of Revolt. And the official statement from Revolt says, while Mr. Combs has previously had no operational or day-to-day role in the business, the decision helps to ensure the Revolt remains steadfastly focused on our mission to create meaningful content for the culture and amplify the voices of all Black people throughout the country and the African diaspora. Our focus has always been one that reflects our commitment to the collective journey of Revolt, one that is not driven by any individual, but the shared efforts and values of our entire team on behalf of advancing, elevating, and championing our culture. And that continues. And I must say, I'm appreciative of Revolt putting that message and statement out there, because when I joined Revolt, I didn't join for any person. I didn't join for to be attached to any specific name, but I liked what they stood for. I like what they currently stand for, right? They amplify Black voices, they amplify Black culture. And that was a part of the reason why I really wanted to be why I saw interest in. I thought it would be a good collaboration for the two of us. And because of that, it really helps to, and I must say, like as a result of like the, talent and other podcasters and people who we're just connected with, like there are a lot of us talent wise and on the podcast network who we advocate for Black people. We advocate for Black women specifically. And that's why we sought out we saw benefit in joining a network such as a Revolt, right? So like I can't name too many other networks out there that specifically amplify Black voices, that specifically amplify the voices of Black people, and who have a special interest in amplifying the voices of Black women, because that was what was communicated to us when we initially started meeting with Revolt. Like they want to amplify the voices of Black women. And this was back in last October, right? So this was almost a year ago. Like they had this mission of wanting to amplify Black women. And so that is why I wanted to join the network. And so because of everything that has been transpiring over the internet and, all the lawsuits that have been happening in mainstream, like in real time, like y'all can understand, like, joining a network with hopes of being able to continue to amplify the voices of Black women, and also seeing these allegations that's going on with Diddy, who is the chairman, or the chairperson, right? And so like you can understand the cloud that was over my head, or the cloud that was over our heads. And I will say Revolt has so based on some of the things that have happened this week, like I can say I feel heard by Revolt. I can say I feel seen by our CEO, Datavio. Shout out to him. I can say that he verbalized, like, listen, I got y'all's back. Right. So like I believe wholeheartedly that Revolt, the folks at Revolt, like they're really still standing behind Black women. They're standing 10 toes down. And so one of the reasons why I felt the need to address this is because even if you go to my content on TikTok, Instagram, and other forms of social media, you're going to find up and down my timeline, I'm talking about Black women. I'm talking about issues that impact Black women. I'm talking about mental health of Black women. Like that's just my niche. And because I've been about that life, I'm going to stay about that life. And this situation is no different. That is why, like, I'm going to continue to amplify and believe Black women and Black voices. That is why I think that this was a good decision, right? This was a good decision that was made on behalf of whether it was Diddy or Revolt or however that came about. I believe that was a good decision because we're still talent who really believes in the mission. We believe in like again, Black women and amplifying the voices of Black women. And again, I did not join the network for any individual. I joined the network for that mission. And so because there is such strong allegations following Diddy, I do believe the best that this was the best situation, because if I can be transparent with y'all my family, right? Right? I can be transparent with y'all. I was praying about like what do I do next? I was consulting with colleagues about what do I do next, because I knew that I could not say that I am for Black women and talk about all these issues related to Black women in the Black community and also continue to be associated with a network who the chairperson or whatever has like all of these daunting allegations. Like I knew like I would have to kind of like figure out what I would have to do next. Right? I was praying. I didn't want to make any rash decisions. I didn't want to say anything too quickly. I didn't want to just move too quickly, because like whether it's business related or not, I'm always going to consult with God. But I do believe that I'm grateful that I waited and was patient, because it really did show that the people at Revolt, being the Tavio, the CEO, I believe is the chief brand officer or whoever, like these individuals like verbalize like, listen, we got y'all's back. So I'm here for it. And even Spiritual World said that they're going to continue to run the network. And also like keep in mind that of course like Diddy's face, he's the face of Revolt, but also like he didn't really have any day-to-day roles. Like it wasn't like any operations there. So I can see them still having like a smooth running network without Diddy's hands in it. And I do believe that again, it is in the best interest of Revolt talent and also future guests, and anybody else who wants to be affiliated with the network to be able to thrive and create content without having these looming allegations over our head and trying to figure out like, okay, what are people thinking about us being affiliated with this or whatever. So again, this was a decision that was made. I found out with everybody else, but again, like this is something that I think best supports the talent of Revolt. So in addition to that, oh, that was another article I wanted to show y'all, but I'm not going to share it because my laptop is acting weird. But y'all, why does 50 Cent troll so much? Like he said he's going to buy Revolt, like just throw him a couple dollars and he'll buy Revolt. Like why? I wish I had my soundboard because I would have did some sort of sound effect, but 50 just be trolling. But anyway, so yeah, as we continue to listen to like what's going on and read about what's going on in the news, we know that people are continuing to discontinue their relationship with Diddy, including brands like the I think it was Deleon or Diego or whatever. Jamil said 50 is a master troller, and that he is, Jamil, that he is. But yeah, so like his liquor company, Macy's pulled out of a collaboration with him, meaning that they're not going to sell Sean John. People are saying like, who wears Sean John? I haven't seen anybody wear Sean John since 2005, but I can't talk because I wore FUBU when Forever 21 revamped that like a year ago. So I can't, if you wearing Sean John or whatever, I ain't knocking it, but I'm just saying you might not be able to purchase it at Macy's in the future. So Macy's is pulling out. And again, like stepping down from Revolt is really about like people kind of continuing to protect the integrity of their brand. And we're not saying like it's true or untrue, but y'all know, I believe in protecting and believing Black women. Okay, so in addition to that, so now that we got that out the way, and y'all can ask me any other questions that you have about that. People again, like ask me where I stood. I just talked about that. People ask me how I'm doing. So I'll say I'm doing better. I'm doing better. Don't be judging people and their Sean John. Jamil, like I don't know. Like if y'all want to rock Sean John, the big puffer coats and the button downs with the jeans. Like if y'all want to do that, that's fine. And granted, they may have rebranded, so it probably looks nice. So I don't know. So I'm not listen. I don't have a dog in this fight. Y'all can wear y'all Sean John, but again, you might not be able to buy it at Macy's. So yes. So if y'all have any other questions related to that, related to some of the experiences that I've had, related to my decision to continue to have this partnership with Revolt as a result of the support of our current leadership, y'all can ask away. I'm an open book, and I don't mind answering some of y'all's questions about that. But I do want to transition into talking a little bit about things that had transpired with T.I., Tiny, and King. So I was going to do that in a separate video, but I decided, like, why not just make it a joint video, make it hot off the press, where I talk about like various things that have been buzzing in hot topics or whatever. Okay, so I'm glad you're addressing this, because the truth be told, you were one of the first people I thought about when this situation occurred. I appreciate that. And I really do appreciate that, because I did have people like reaching out and genuinely just showing love. Like, I hope you're okay. I hope, you're doing good or whatever, because of like everything that was going on. And if you notice, like I've been doing a lot of travel lately, so I haven't really had too much time to be on social media like I usually do. But I've been falling back, just because like I wanted that time of like away to silence the voices and to like really hear from God in terms of like the next move or whatever, or what should be the next move. So I was, I was getting questions, but like I appreciate everyone who expressed concern, who wanted to know what was going on. I appreciate y'all for real. Okay, so as we transition, so I want to talk a little bit about this situation with King, T.I., Tiny, their family, because there is some controversy going on. There's some controversy pertaining to King, what happened with T.I. They said they apparently got in a physical altercation, and it was a result of like, some things that were said. It started with like playing, right? So like, you guys know, like in families, especially Black families, like we gonna joan on each other. That's what they say in Maryland. You joning on me or whatever. Like you gonna like talk about them, or you gonna rank on me. That's what we say in Delaware. Like you gonna rank on me, like you're talking about me, whether it's about my clothes, shoes, or whatever. But we know it's all love. Like that's just how we express love. So I believe it was a situation like that, where they started to kind of like, they were just kind of making fun, joking or whatever, but then it turned into something serious. And then T.I. and King actually got into an altercation. So I'm going to share this clip with y'all. So bear with me. And yeah, it's been a lot. It's been a lot in the media overall. Like if you have a show on YouTube or TV that covers hot topics, like I'm sure your channel been booming. Child, these ads. Okay.
Crossover that can seat up to 5 and will keep you on the move with DC fast charging that lets you go from 10 to 80% charge in just 18 minutes. Plus, the EV6 looks as remarkable as the performance.
Lots of different things that people have. And this is from Empress. So I like their channel when it comes to hot topics and stuff. I think it was around here where I wanted y'all to listen.
That he was neglected by T.I. and Tiny. He also wants to dissociate himself from the idea that he was born privileged. But the truth of the matter is he was born a privileged child. His father, T.I., is a famous rapper who made millions of dollars in his career. Tiny also was a singer, started off in a singing group called Escape, collected checks from reality shows and from her songwriting. So both of his parents made their money, and he definitely grew up privileged. And he's trying to act like he grew up in the struggle, but T.I. and Tiny had to check him and say, wait a minute now, you did not grow up hard like that. You didn't wake up hungry. You didn't wake up with roaches on your face. And the only reason why you went to your grandma's house is because she coddled you and let you do whatever you want to do. That's basically what their whole argument was about.
rough out here. Let me get my shit.
King, have you ever woke up with a roach on your face?
No, that's not the goal.
All right, then. Go.
Or in your ear. I got some niggas in the neighborhood with me that woke up with roach in your ear. Y'all want to go to the bando in my neighborhood? Do y'all want to go to the bando? Do y'all want to go to the bando? Do you want to come to the bando?
You know how they say.
You want to come to the bando?
You wasn't born with a silver spoon? Like my son got me was born with a real Tiffany silver spoon.
Yeah, look.
That's the goal. That's the goal. That's what it's supposed to be. Just like he was. He was born with a silver spoon.
That's what I'm trying to say.
He just wanted it to get
to make him look better. He say he know not true. Silver spoon. I ain't never ate with that day a day in my life.
Nigga, you did have a silver spoon. You had a silver
Look,
let the mama tell it.
Look, I ain't never ate with it a day in my life.
You don't know what you ate with.
So look,
know what you ate with.
Hold up. Tiffany used to have to come to my grandma's house because I'm getting in the fight.
You cried like a baby to go to your grandma's house.
Every day.
You used to hold your breath.
Every day.
I don't want to be in these gates. I want to be outside in the neighborhood. That's why I want to be over there. But they don't understand that.
No, I'm going to tell you the reason why he want to be over there. Y'all ready? Because he can suck and pacify over there. He was 12 years old. He was sucking pacifier till he was 12 years old.
See, it's like family banter.
Yeah.
They trying to say I was over there trying to suck a passy. But they ain't gonna tell you everything like that. They trying to hide it.
Ain't nobody hiding.
Sugarcoat it.
You cried like a baby.
I can tell you why. Ain't no kids in your neighborhood. Ain't no kids in your neighborhood. I'm outside at the green box. I'm outside. You know what I'm saying? Stop acting like you ain't have to come and check stuff over at the house. Stop acting like we ain't have to go check nothing in that neighborhood. Stop playing with me. Yeah, he capping. Hey, he know I stand on business. He know that. Can't no nigga ever pull my car ever in life. I stand on business. You drop me somewhere, I stand on business. You drop me in your hood, I stand on business. I don't feel like you stand on business. Yeah, I've been stood on business. I've been stood on business. You want to hide it for the world? I'm gonna put it out there for them to see. I want to put up nowhere. You ain't had me put up nowhere. Like you ain't had me behind the mansion. I was outside doing what I wanted to do.
You was behind that till you cried.
No, y'all trying to do a big one. Niggas ain't got too much to drink. Niggas done drunk too much. Let's go. Niggas get mad because we say the South ain't the suburbs. Then he want to talk about some other shit. Like just be a city nigga. Just be a city. No, I'm being real, nigga. You lying. You over here flagging.
This is where it starts to get more intense.
You capping. I know you. What's wrong with y'all? Why y'all doing that to me? Y'all know me. You know I stand on business. Why you even letting somebody play with me like that? Why you letting him play with me like that? No, ain't no joking. What do you mean?
You are embarrassing yourself and the family. No, you embarrassing yourself. You are embarrassing yourself.
Man, get off me.
Well, you can't do nothing with me. Ain't shit you can do with me.
So hopefully y'all were able to make it through that.
So basically, they were involved in the altercation at the Falcons game. So they were involved in an altercation at the Falcons game. And like I said, y'all saw it. Like it literally looked like family banter. Like y'all are just kind of like picking, making fun on one another. Until the point where you saw King kind of like starting to escalate. And as a psychologist, y'all, because y'all know I'm a psychologist by day, culture critic by night. There were so many kind of like red flags that I noticed in the conversation, even prior to them getting into the physical altercation, right? So granted, physical altercations with your child, we shouldn't be doing that anyway, right? So people have different beliefs pertaining to spankings, whoopings, or whatever, like a one and done situation, not leaving any marks or bruises or whatever. I get that. But also when it comes to actually fighting your son or your child, like they a random nigga on the street, like that's not something that we should be doing, period. Point blank, period. Like it just, like, what message does that send to your child? Right? What message does that send to them regarding how you feel about them? One. Two, what message does that send to them about problem solving? Right? Because, you know, there were red flags leading up to that they could have intervened in. Which leads to my next point, right? So like when I saw King like starting to kind of like escalate at that point, like, you know, I think in situations like that, we're not excusing King for his behaviors because he was wrong, especially for, you know, engaging in that. But as parents, we got to recognize when we're the parents, right? So like if you see that conversation's going in that direction, again, you're a parent. Like you don't have to argue with the child. You don't have to argue with, like, you know, I understand like we want to, like, you know, people want to prove themselves and like you don't disrespect me or whatever, but there's a time and place for that. Y'all could have had that conversation later at home, because just like y'all said, King was embarrassing the family. Like he wasn't. You don't argue with yourself, right? It takes two people to argue. So if he's embarrassing the family, then like embarrassment on both ends, right? So just my thoughts. In addition to that, I think the deeper issue, because we see, and not everything is meant for social media, period. One thing about this generation though, and I don't want to sound like the auntie or whatever, people, y'all post everything. Like y'all will record and post everything. And that's just not something that I can get with. Like a family argument, family altercations or whatever. Like that's something that, again, we didn't need to see that. Take us out the group chat, beloved. Like we just don't need to be that much exposed to the King family. Y'all are interesting, but I just don't want to be that involved in your business. But here's the deeper issue, right? Because this isn't something that we see just with King. This is something that we see oftentimes amongst our people. And y'all can let me know your thoughts as I kind of explain my hypothesis. So in our community, we have this very unhealthy relationship with struggle. Yes, I said it. In our community, we have a very unhealthy relationship with struggle. And that means that when people come at you for not like struggling enough, and we saw it with King, like when they were saying like, oh, you ain't have a roach in your ear, or like you had a silver spoon in your mouth, they're not just saying like he grew up privileged, but to King, like he's hearing like, okay, you're coming from my identity as a Black person. Right? This is, again, like we tend to equate Blackness with struggle, which is extremely unhealthy. And I think in order for, and like I said, y'all, King ain't the only one who do this, right? King is not the only one who does this. Somebody said we struggle and glorify hood mentality. So when we think about this, and I think Coy Leray, I think that's a girl name. I can never say her name correctly. She was like her dad recently called her out. I don't know if it's true or untrue regarding like how she grew up or childhood or upbringing or whatever. But he was basically saying you're trying to glorify a lifestyle that you didn't have to grow up in. And again, like when, especially like in our community, we have this infatuation with struggle. That means like the harder I struggle, the Blacker I am. The harder people see me struggle, the harder my life is, the more respect that I get. And I really think that there comes a day where we have to redefine how we see struggle and Blackness. Like we really need to decouple these two different concepts because they're not equivalent. Because you struggle more doesn't make an individual more Black. Because you had a lifestyle where you didn't have to struggle, it doesn't make you any less Black, right? Being Black is not a monolith. People have different experiences growing up. People have different, they grew up differently. They were reared differently. They had different parenting styles. I even was reminded when I kind of was talking through this with my sister, I was even reminded that, that was something that we experienced growing up. Feeling as though like it's problematic when you don't have a particular struggle as a Black person growing up, right? Because, we'll probably talk about this on Double Dose, but when Dad took us to school, when my dad had to take us to school, we didn't like my sister. I was cool, but my sister did not like when my dad drove us to school because she didn't want people seeing our car. She didn't want people to see the Benzes, plural. Like she didn't want to see that because then people would start talking and trying to figure things out. Like it, because like there's a level of shame that we associate with like success and like financial stability in the Black community, and we associate again that struggle with being more. That means you're strong. That means you went through something, you overcame something. You're that strong Black person because you went through, because you struggled, when that's not the case. And so as a people, I challenge us today to do the work when it comes to, again, decoupling this concept of struggle equals Blackness. Struggle equals, I earned my keep here, right? I belong here because I struggled to get here. That's not the case when it comes to individuals, when it comes to people, right? You're worthy for existing. You don't have to prove yourself in order to exist in the world that you live in. And so, I'm wishing the best for the King family, but that's just my hypothesis. I want to hear y'all's take. So we already been here for about 35 minutes. I thought I was going to be on here for 15 minutes, but y'all know when we start talking psychology and all that good stuff, it gets good to me. So I keep talking. I'm going to cut it off right here. Because it is late and I want to be able to get this audio ready for y'all tomorrow. So make sure that you guys listen to the audio every single Wednesday. You can check out this audio tomorrow morning around 6 a.m. Don't forget, next week, December the 6th, we will be having Amari on. He will be talking about the art of choosing joy and how to choose joy in every situation and making that decision, because again, it is a choice. And don't forget, y'all, you have the power to create the emotions that you want to experience. And one last thing, don't forget to join my Patreon. It's available in the show notes if you want more content like this. All right, y'all, have a great night.